Good morning. It's Sheila back again with the Stopwatch Gardener Podcast, and I am standing in the sunrise in the late March garden. Lots of sparrows keeping me company today. Just looking around at what I can do in the hour before I need to go along to my garden volunteering at Amosfield. It's a walled garden near here in East Lothian in Scotland, where I volunteer on a Thursday, and today is Thursday. I have left it possibly too long to tend to this. This is the lavender, which needs to be cut back. It's got all these rustly seed heads from last year, which the birds, I believe, do take the seeds from, so I've tried to leave it until now to take it back. So I'll be taking off maybe 8 inches of growth here. There is vivid green growth among the silvery foliage. Oh, I wish you could smell that. Just putting my hand across it to see where the green is. There's such a delicious scent of lavender. That really needs to be done today. And just behind it are the winter stems of a cornus dogwood called Midwinter Beauty. I think it's Midwinter Beauty because I ordered Midwinter Fire, but I don't think this is Midwinter Fire. Midwinter Fire has a kind of an ombre effect all the way up the stem. It transitions from orange to yellow, but this is more orange all the way up. Still, it's lovely. It's time now to cut it back, though, because the leaves are starting to emerge all the way down the stems. So I'll be going in with the secateurs and looking low down for a double bud where there's a swelling on either side of the stem and cutting it down to there. And in that way, one stem will become 2 next year. Yes, I hear you. That is not a sparrow. That is a starling above my head making a big fuss. There's a gigantic wild cherry in the neighbor's garden that kind of looms over all our gardens here. We live in what used to be a bunch of farm cottages near a farm, and a lot of our houses, some of us have cottages that belong to the workers, but some of us live in farm buildings, and the buildings are all right butted up against each other. So this beautiful cherry kind of looms over everybody's garden, and it is the best place to sit and brag about what a great mate you would be if you were a bird in late March in Scotland looking for love. So the cherry will be out soon. The buds are full on that. That's the same for the cultivated cherry that's down there. So I know it's time to get on with cutting back this cornus. And also Mahonia. Just gonna have I hate to see it go. It has the scent of lily of the valley, but it is time now to cut this back. The flowering spikes I will cut right back harshly down to the stump, almost coppicing it. Is it coppicing or pollarding? I can never remember, but it's going to be cut right back to the thick stem. Now the stem is about the thickness of 2 of my fingers put together. That's the kind of the girth of it, and that is all I want left on this plant because it will resprout. But these 2 Mahonias grow in the corner of these L-shaped beds around this winter terrace here, and they need to be kept in check. There's also new growth on the Daphne, which has smelled lovely, and so I need to take those back and maybe take some of this extension growth that I'm going to be pruning and see if I can root it, because Daphne is not meant to be a very long-lived shrub. This is Daphne Oreo marginata, which means yellow margin on the leaves. It's an evergreen. It has these ball-shaped clusters of highly scented, palest pink flowers, which open up from dark purple buds. I can see here there are still some buds that haven't even opened up yet. It has really enjoyed being in these containers, but I want to see if I can root some of these cuttings as insurance against possible loss of the plant. What else is going on here? It's been frosty overnight. There's ice just melting on the bird bath. Let's see, what's that? Yeah, I think I might fill up the watering can and see if I can get some water fresh, clean water for my amorous local birds who need to look their best for their courting. Watering can. So I will do the lavender. I'm walking now just down the east side of the house where I have all the plants, most of the plants that are going to be available in my plant sale, an open day if you are near East Lothian. In our part of Scotland, come along on the 24th and 25th of April. We are having an open day for Scotland's Garden Scheme in aid of my friend's rare disease charity, the Advocacy for Neuroacanthocytosis patients. So we want to see if we can raise some funds for their research. And where I got the watering can just there is definitely tidying up to be done. I tried to take all of the plants that I had been propagating that looked like nothing was happening and maybe they were just dead and put them all in one place. So I'll be taking those, dumping out the old compost, seeing if there's any slug eggs or any other undesirables in there. Leave those for the birds and see if I can reuse that compost in either as a mulch or potting on plants that are strong and don't need the very best compost. Our neighbor has a clematis montana, which is very handy because my daughter asked me if I would plant one, and I didn't really have the space after we demolished our old garage that is now my husband's little teeny tiny guest house that he built for our friends and relatives abroad who come to stay in Scotland. So when the tiny house came and our old garage went, our montana went, but the neighbor's clematis montana is fantastic, and it drapes over the top of the wooden fence between ourselves, and when it flowers it's like a giant kind of flowery blanket, and it's covered with buds right now. I think things are going to flower early this year. Last year everything was about 2 weeks early, and I think we're on schedule possibly for the same thing this year, which is tricky if you are holding an open garden and want things to look good and trying to figure out what's going to bloom when. I think the tulips I planted are going to be fine. They will be flowering when the open day is here. Okay, this is a tricky operation. How do I clean out this bird bath? That really... There we go. The bunch of it just slid out there. The birds need food, but they need clean water almost more than the food. So I have to make sure the bird bath is nice and clean so they can both drink and, as the name implies, bathe in it. Okay, that's looking good. I wonder if this... Oh no, the starling's gone out of the cherry tree. I wonder if they're watching me, but oh, there's a whole hedge of ivy and wild-looking cotoneasters between our garden and our neighbor's very wild garden. They are the ones that have the big cherry, and they also leave their lawn wild, which has led to the most beautiful flowering of fritillaria and narcissus. But the hedge between us is completely filled with sparrows, and they're definitely watching me. Yes, I'll get out of the way so you guys can have a little wash. Trying not to walk on this worn bit of grass. I'm wondering how our already kind of worn area of grass here is going to make out when we have possibly dozens and dozens of people coming to the open garden. I went along to Scone Palace in Perth yesterday for a conference about garden tourism in Scotland, and I had a chat there with the lovely Brian Cunningham, who's the head gardener, because he said something about desire lines and how when people visit the Scone Palace garden, they'll walk this way even though it wasn't anticipated that they'd walk that way, so they may as well put a path there. Or anyway, I was trying to pick his brains about how I can protect this patch of grass that's already a bit worn, and he suggested just putting down temporarily for the open day some landscape fabric that I would pin into the grass, down into the ground, and some bark mulch. for the foot traffic, because they did that recently, he said, at Scone Palace, and when they lifted up the bark chip and the landscape fabric afterwards, the grass just needed a little time to come back, and then it was really fine. So I think I'm going to do that. But I want to have the landscape fabric and the bark chip down not for a very long time, ideally not more than 2 weeks, and my plant sale and open day is still a month away. Okay, I think I'm going to carry on with my jobs. I'm grateful to you for listening. If you would like to read more about my garden, you can also visit my blog, which is at stopwatchgardener.com. That's stopwatchgardener.com. And hopefully I will talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.